What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back for another Python tutorial. Let's jump right into it. So today, exercise, this might be 15 or 16, I don't know. Whatever the video number says, that's what it is. And of course, if you want the code for this, jump to cupofcode01.com and just whatever the thumbnail for this says, lesson number says it is, get that code for that lesson number and just swipe it, steal it, borrow it, use it, break it. Learn how to code. So starting today, we have hashtags, so some comments for myself and for you. Lists can be changed by calling and modifying. So a list, again, that's the open and close brackets. Lists cannot be, lists are very versatile. We'll leave it at that right now. A tuple cannot be changed. Tuples are fixed. Tuples have, there's a good reason for tuples when you don't want things to be able to be adjudicated or messed with. When a tuple's in place, it's fixed. And how would you get a tuple? Well, it's in parentheses. So it's, if you make a list and take out the brackets and put in parentheses, what you just told Python is, whatever I have inside here, I don't want you to change a damn thing. Not permitted. So let's run through the code. We're already debugging them at line number 4, and I'm going to F8 through this. And let's see what we get. So why am I not? Run my debug. There we go. That makes me happy. Good. Now I'm connected. So, and it even tells me, look at number X. X has a class of a tuple, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I don't even have parentheses there. You don't need them. It's because it's multiple pieces. If it was just 5, then it would have been X was a variable 5. And then 5 could have been mutable. But the fact that I had commas and multiples, it was a tuple. Y is also a tuple, 5, 6, 7, and 3. Have the parentheses, didn't need them as well. Going through with F8. Now I have X is a new location, it is a list, and Y is now a list. So you can see the variable functions up above. I changed the variable X and Y from a tuple to a list. I was able to change the variable, but I was not able to change yet the tuple inside or the list inside yet. All I was doing was changing variables. And then I have tuples are great for sequences of unpacking. So when you're trying to unpack data, you want tuples because you don't want things messed with. You want it to be in the exact sequence and order with which it was originally coded. If you have a list that you don't want changed, well, that is a tuple, right? So now we're defining a function. We're going to get into the functions more at another time, but right now, just copy along, defining a function, open parentheses, colon, return 12, 6, and 8. And now over here, I don't want you to get too confused. QRS function, when called this function, will always have the order of 12, 6, 8. Oh, confused myself there for a second. So function, anytime I call it now, so down here, how can I describe this the best? So when you can define anything. This could have been define order of numbers. I could have wrote whatever I wanted. But I wrote the word function. Let's even change it. Let's call it order of numbers, and then of course I'll have to change that down here because I'm changing it. That's why I like PyCharm. I'll make to put it in. All right. So what did I do? Defining order of numbers. So I'm telling Python anytime I call this order of numbers, I want you to do whatever I define the function as. And all I did right now is say, if I call order of numbers, return 12, 6, 8. That's it, return that. So if I print order of numbers open, it's going to print 12, 6, 8. So now what I did down here is I have QRS, again, doesn't matter what the notation was, 3 different variables. I have 3 because I have 3 in the return values, equals order of numbers. So all I did here was assign those 3 integers to the function of order of numbers. When I call this, when I call the function, meaning if I said print order of numbers right now, it would print 12, 6, 8. It's automatically going to assign Q to 12, R to 6, and S to 8. Not because of any particular ascending or descending order, just because that's their ordering. If you want to think of it like an index, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. It's always going to have that order of 12, 6, and 8. So if it's always going to have that order, if it cannot be changed, you could think of that almost like a tuple. So, excuse me, so I'm going to go through, we're printing, so I have here now, I assigned it, so Q12, R6, S is 8. Now the computer has that assignment within its variable function. So print QRS, so 12, 6, and 8. Print SRQ. I changed the order, but you'll notice the assignment is still the same. So S is still 8, R is still 6, and Q is still 12. So I was able to change the order of my pieces, but I didn't change the assignment yet. So R, S, and Q, their values are still the same. Going through, we have a definition of second. This function called second doesn't mean anything, but it's going to return a list. That's the difference here. Notice before, for order of numbers, that was a tuple. So I couldn't change the numbers. I could change the order, but not the numbers themselves, not their values. Their assignment was fixed. Return a list of 3, 5, 8. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, it didn't print anything out. If I run this code, it's not going to print anything out because I'm just defining it. Definitions, you could have pages and pages of definitions of things you're defining for Python telling it. If I type in second, that's now a function for you, and this is what I want you to do with it, and this is how I want you to operate it. But it doesn't run that code until it's called. So you're going to see something that screws up a lot of people in Python, computer languages, where you're allowed to call a function before it's defined. And that's only because definitions don't get run when you first execute the code. It only looks for that definition when you call upon the function. So I'm running through F8. So I have BIG equals second. So what's going to happen? B is going to be assigned to 3, I is going to be assigned to 5, and G is going to be assigned to 8. So far, nothing different. Same kind of stuff. So we're going to print big and we're going to print GBI. Again, same kind of stuff. We haven't done anything. We haven't done any adjudications. We haven't done any changing yet. Sample equals, I have a list here with strings. Today, tomorrow, yesterday, some other day. Just 3 different strings. So we're printing sample. So we print, and that I want, boop. That's better. So print the length of a sample. So you'll notice I did that. Let me go to that beginning so it makes more sense to you. Otherwise, or I can just start debugging here. It's sample. Let's run our debugger. Console F8. Today, tomorrow, yesterday, some other day. So all I did here was print the sample of that list. I'm printing a sample list, and then I'm printing the length of sample. So len means the length. It's a function length, and whatever I put inside the parentheses, I'm telling it, give me the length of that. Now, length is a numerical count. It's not an indexing function, so it's not going to work at 0. It's going to start at 1. So if you look inside of our sample, we have the word today, it's string today, tomorrow, yesterday, and some other day. So 4 different pieces. So the length of sample is going to be 4. Sure enough, it tells me 4. And then print sample.count today. What we're doing here, we're just using a count method, because again, we're dot method. So I'm telling the computer, I'm telling Python, take sample, which is this variable list here, and count how many times this string today shows up. So the count is 1. And this again could have been anything. There's a reason for this. Now I'm going to go to the next line, print sample index of 2. So sample, again, is my list, index of 2, 0, 1, 2. It should print yesterday. It printed yesterday. Now I have sample.insert 1, comma, then the string huge. And then I'm just printing it just so we can see that. So now we have today, huge, tomorrow, yesterday, some other day. So what did I do? I told it at position 1, I want position 1 to now be the word huge. So if today was 0 and tomorrow is 1, I want to make huge number 1, so it's going to push tomorrow to the right and make tomorrow instead of 1 now an index of 2. So I could only do that because it was a list. If that was a tuple, it wouldn't have let me done that because I'm messing with the sequence. So a list, we can add, subtract, manipulate, move index positionings around. So next one, sample.insert, again, insert method. At position 3, index of 3, put in huger, and I know it's not a word, don't give me that crap. You'll also notice I have a space here, just for simplicity's sake for printing out. So here we go, print today's huge, tomorrow's huger, yesterday's some other day. So now we index at 3, and again, it was a new list. So I can't go 0, 1, 2, 3 and tell me it's going to be after yesterday, because look, it's not after yesterday, it's before yesterday, because the code before that added the word huge. So our list was today's huge, tomorrow, yesterday. So position 3, 0, 1, 2, 3 was yesterday. So it's going to go before yesterday because now Huger has a position of 3. So going through the code again, now we are doing method remove. So sample.remove huge. I didn't have to tell it where. If I had more than one huge, that's a different story. Then I could do indexing, but there's only one huge in there. So right now it's at position 1, index of 1. So remove huge and print it out. Sure enough, now my new list, let's go this way a little bit. Now we have today, tomorrow, huge is gone. Running through, we're calling the reverse method. So I'm saying sample.reverse, take the sample list, reverse the whole damn thing, print it out, and sure enough we did. Some other day, yesterday, huger, tomorrow, today. Again, huge is gone because we took it out in the line before. Now I'm using the method pop, and I'm telling it at position 0. So what pop is going to do is whatever is at position 0, it's going to pop it off. So if I didn't put a 0 in there, pop always goes to the end of a list. So it would have popped off what was at the end, which was today. But I told it at position 0, pop it off. So that took off some other day. Similar to remove, but you don't have to specify what you want to remove. With pop, you're specifying the location. With remove, you're specifying what it is you want to remove directly. So now sample.append, I have, whoops a daisy. So I'm putting sample.append. I'll make this bigger so you can see it. Sample is the list, append is the method. This will always be put in the last index position. I have that there because that's the string that we're going to put in, but the append method is important in that it will always put it in the last index position. So if your current list, our current list before I'm going to run this is hunger, yesterday, hunger, tomorrow, today. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's gonna put this as now index 4 when I run through this. And sure enough, it did, because it puts it, append method's always gonna put it at the very end of the list. So it's essentially creating a new index point. So I had an index of a length of 4, but an index of 0 to 3 on the line before. So it's gonna index of 4, which is now, this will always be put blah, blah, blah. If I did a length on this, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me make this a little bigger now, just so it kind of F8, going through the code again. I don't want to move anything. Checkpoint. I just printed checkpoint so I could visually see where I was in case I did this. When I run the code below, you know how it runs everything? I just created checkpoint just so I could see where we were. So I go up, okay, that's where I am if I had to reference anything when I was talking to you guys. Sample.sort. Now I'm going to be sorting the list. What do you think sort's going to do? If you remember before when we had a list and we did sort function, it did it numerically. So let's see what the sort function is going to do. And as you probably would have guessed, it's going to do it alphabetically. So huger, Jesus Christ, huger, this will always be put in the last index position, today, tomorrow, and yesterday. And sure enough, that is alphabetical order. Now we have print sample, and now I have brackets, and I'm saying from the beginning to index position of 2. So 0, 1, 2. Let's see what happens. Print sample, I got huger. This will always be put in the last index position, and then it stops. So I got a length of 2. I got index position 0 and 1. That's because, again, it goes up to not including the last index position. So it's not going to include index position 2. It's going to include 0 and 1. Very similar to the range function that we did in lessons before, where if you have a range, 4, 100, 20, it's going to start at 4, go in increments of 20, and get up to 100, but it's not going to include that last number if you were to get there. It's exclusive of the last number that you have there. So now what's going to happen next? Print sample 2, 4. So that's telling it, take the sample list, start at index position 2, go it up to index not including 4. So it's going to give me number index position 2 and 3. And then we're just telling it to give a new line. That's all we're doing after that. So I'm going to go below. So it went to number 2. So let's see if that's correct. Let's go to my list. Hunger. This will always be put in the last index position. That's index 1. 2 is today. 3 is tomorrow. And 4 is yesterday. So I got position 2 and 3, index position 2 and 3. So that was appropriate. And then we just have a new line, nothing special there. My tuple equals today. Whoops a daisy, we didn't print it. Now print my tuple. The tuple is today, tomorrow, yesterday's, some other day. I did it again, man. Yesterday, comma, Let me rerun that debug now, just so it prints out properly. Checkpoint, don't care. Print my tuple. So, and it says finish code, but we're not done. So we printed the tuple today, tomorrow, yesterday, some other day. You also could, if anybody wanted to, just like we did up here for fun, you could totally length it. So if you wanted to, you could print it just so you can see that it's still going to be and we have 4. So even for a tuple, because it's slightly different than a list and what it can do, I just want you to say you can still use very similar functions and method today, tomorrow, yesterday, some other day. So we still have a length of 4. Now what I'm going to do, this is not comments, this is actually code. And I just want you to see what's going to happen. So I'm going to run this again, and I'm going to clear all, and we're going to run the debugger again. And I want to just get down to the my tuple. So I printed my length, so I got my tuple, length of 4, and then the next line says my tuple dot insert at position 1, insert huge. Let's see what happens. F8, I got an error, and now I'm inside a different piece of code altogether. This is nothing at all that we were coding on the left here. If I try to run this, I'm going to run the bottom again. I'm going to get the same error. And what is it telling me? It's telling me attribute error tuple, object has no attribute insert. That's a very fancy way of saying you can't insert something inside of a tuple because tuples can't be messed with. You can't manipulate their order. You can't mess with tuples. So don't even try it. And again, that's why I had that commented out, because it's not going to work. Let's see if I take this out. Let me put in my hash. Let me run this again, and let's see if I can get to the bottom now. So I did my tuple.reverse, print my tuple. It did not reverse it either. So let's run through our debugger again. Clear all. Shush. We'll get that right now. So you can't mess, it's not even going to reverse my list, the method, simply because you can't mess with a tuple. The order that it's in, today, tomorrow, yesterday, some other day, tuples are meant, and the term that they use in Python is immutable, meaning you can't change a damn thing in the tuple. The sequence, the order, no inserting, no function reversing, none of that stuff. You cannot mess with the tuples. So play with it, take the code, Cup of Code 01. We're getting some good stuff on Thursday. Today is Sunday. Everybody have a great day. I will see you next time.